Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you, it's for us. The fantasies, no one can judge us, no one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you.
Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Shay Baby, and welcome to another episode here at the Brown Book Series. Happy Pride Month, everybody! Yay! Honey, y'all know I live for Pride because that's my family. I absolutely love them. And that's why all month long I was like, you know what? I had to call some of my old my friends, honey, that writes in that genre, honey, for the LGBTQ. And so we hit up Miss Layla Reyne, and she said, hey girl, hey, I will be there. Plus, she has a new novel that just dropped a little while ago, so you guys gonna have to check that out. So go get your snacks, go get your drinks. Y'all know how we do. It's Wednesday night. Tell your friends that the Brown Book Series is on, and I'll be right back with Amazon's best-selling author, Miss Layla Reyne.
Brown Book Series presents Raw Romance Readers and Writers Experience. Save the date, October 28th and 29th, 2022. Brown Book Series presents Raw Romance Readers and Writers Experience, October 28th and 29th, 2022 at the Westin Old Town, Alexandria, featuring some of your favorite romance authors: Brenda Jackson, Beverly Jenkins, Iris Boland, Deborah Fletcher Mello, and so much more. The Raw Experience will include book signings, meet and greet, photo ops, vendors, shopping, surprise celebrity guests, and live performances. Registration is wide open at brownbookseries.com. Save the date, October 28th and 29th, 2022. Brown Book Series presents Raw Experience.
Hey y'all, and we are back. Welcoming to the first time here at the Brown Book Series, Miss Layla Reyne. Hi, Layla.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here, girl. Look, happy Pride Month.
Likewise, happy Pride to you and to all the viewers.
Yes, girl, they love it. And we love it around here, Pride Month, honey, because I get to rub my rainbows, baby. Yes.
Awesome.
So, Layla, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What is it like in the day in the life of Miss Amazon's best-selling author, Miss Layla Reyne?
I wish I could tell you it was structured, but it's very much not. So I work a day job and I write around it, when I can. And release weeks are always chaotic. A lot of coffee. That's, my go-to beverage. And so, just writing when I can, telling these stories that, there's a whole list of things I want to write. And when I can get a chance and put it pen to paper and go for, keyboard, fingers to the keyboard,
Right.
and, and write. So
I absolutely love it. Now, what part of the country are you on?
I am on the West Coast. So
Okay.
originally from North Carolina. We've been out in California 18 years-ish.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
What made you come to California from North Carolina?
My husband was a grad student out here.
Okay.
And so we moved out then, and then we ended up staying. So.
Do you like it?
Yeah. It's gotten, we used to live in the Bay Area, love the Bay Area. We're in San Diego now, trying to get used to it. Definitely a different vibe.
I love San Diego. Oof.
Yeah, it's the beach is great and everything. So, it's changed a lot, in the almost 20 years we've been here. But it's great place.
Okay, that's what's up. Now you are out there in sunny California, girl.
Yeah.
When did you decide that I'm going to write me a novel and I'm going to publish it, and damn it, you're going to like it?
I always wrote. And then I would say in high school, yeah, I got addicted to the X-Files. And
didn't we all?
Yeah, right. Mulder and Scully were awesome. And so I wrote a lot of fan fiction. And then I went to law school and it killed all creative energy for about 10 years, that in practice, and then kind of started to reclaim my life, so to speak. got more time, I started writing fan fiction again for Vampire Diaries that time. And it got those juices rolling again, and finally decided, you know what, I'd rather play in my own world with the characters and stories I want to tell. And then, just it went from there. I guess I started, Single Malt was my first published book, though What We May Be that released last year was the first manuscript that I actually wrote in 2014, 2015, probably.
Oh, wow.
And then it got totally retooled and finally out in the world last year as a poly romance, actually. And
yes, girl. And that's the FBI agent, Sean, huh? Is
yeah.
that him? Yes, girl.
That's him.
Yeah. Is it Charlotte and Trevor?
You'll get to see them in Perfect Play too.
Really?
As I'm writing them right now. Yeah. So that's not the last you'll see of them.
Okay.
So,
Because honey, I like that old book. That's the first book I read of yours.
Oh yeah? So,
yes. I was like, this is hot.
I love that book. Like I said, I wrote it in a long time ago. Things definitely morphed and changed as I morphed and changed as a writer in person. And I'm so happy with how it turned out, with the reception to it. The audio, I love. That narrator is continuing on with Dead Draw with the series, because I thought Christian Leatherman did such a fantastic job. And then the cover, right? I dropped that photo, and I was like, well, I guess we're doing this book now because there's the photo that I've been looking for years. So
I absolutely love it. So are you indie published or are you traditionally published?
Hybrid. So I started writing with Carina Press, which is a division of Harlequin.
Right.
And so I wrote 8 to 10 books for them, and then went indie in 2019. Had a couple more Harlequin releases, but now it's just indie.
Okay, so how hard was it for you to get published?
I mean, I did cold query. So anyone who's out there who thinks that you don't get picked up out of the slush pile, I did. I cold queried my agent at the time, and that's how I got an agent to start with. We pitched what used to be What We May Be. That did not get picked up. But while that was being pitched, I was writing Single Malt. And, I have one book that didn't get picked up for 7 months. I think it was out in submissions, and Single Malt got 3 offers in 10 days. So it just kind of depends. Like, things happen at certain times for certain reasons, and you just have to roll with it.
That's what's up. I mean, when it got picked up, was you like, this shit is crazy?
Yeah. I mean, I remember where we were. Like, there's this restaurant called Porto 27 out in Pacifica. Mm-hmm. I was eating sofrito and some mussels, and there pops an email from my then agent, and it was like, "Ooh, is that what I think it is?" She's like, "Finish your drinks and call me when you get home." It was like, that was pretty cool.
I absolutely love it. So you got your agent before you got signed?
I did.
How did that work? Did you just hit her up and be like, "Hey, girl, hey, I want to write books. Can you be my agent?"
Well, that's what the query. You send in a letter that kind of is a pitch letter for your book and your manuscript, and you wait. At the time, it was like a 6-week wait. I don't even know what it is at this point. And you when you're searching for agents, try to find ones that are going to that have good relationships where you think your book fits as far as publishers, and who you just think the book will fit with. And so
wait, how do you find your agent? Would you just look on the website and just see a bunch of agents and just?
There's lots of sources. There's Twitter, to watch. There's a lot of pitch contest. At the time, there was RWA that was fairly a good source for finding that information. And then there's forums, and then they all have websites too. So you can kind of look and see. There's Publishers Marketplace also has deal listings. And so you can kind of see where that agent has done deals and who they've done them with. So you know where it kind of fits. At the time that I published, there were only a handful of publishers who were doing LGBTQ.
Right.
And so you want to make sure there was someone, you're working with someone who has, a good relationship with those publishers.
That is absolutely hot.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely. So you don't have the same agent anymore.
No, I'm not currently working with an agent since I ended up going to indie for right now.
So are you gonna say, you said for right now? So like,
Yeah.
why did you go indie instead of just staying with the publishing company?
For me, it was a lot of personal life reasons, because we were getting ready to move, because my day job, like I need more flexibility.
Yeah.
Like I need to be on my own schedule. I really appreciated being TradPub for having those editors, learning to write that way, learning the business that way with a helping hand and with someone holding your hand instead of just being kind of thrown into the water, so the deep end, so to speak.
Right.
So it was a great experience, and but I just ended up needing more flexibility, and I'm also a control freak, as are a lot of authors. And I'm like, no, I want the hot guy on my cover thing. And I want to write, Fog City, they generally, minus the last book, are like 50,000 words. Like I want to write shorter, release faster. That's not necessarily how things have gone now, but at the time, just being able to, again, set your own schedule as far as writing, deadlines, editors, and releases, so that things work the way, that worked with my schedule as well.
Exactly. That makes sense. So are you still, because you went to law school, are you still a full-time lawyer?
I work in the law field, but I am not and still I don't work with clients anymore, which has been the best thing in the world. Like,
really?
I loved it. Right. I loved it, but I recently transitioned into more of a practice support capacity, and it's fantastic. Like I'm doing really cutting edge stuff and love it. So, and it's, I've been practicing since early 2000s. So it had been a long time,
right.
With the stress of the billable hour and stuff like that. And it was a good time. It was a good time for a change. Like you want to keep growing as an attorney even, and kind of what I'm doing now is a whole new sector, and it's just really cool.
I absolutely love it. Now, how long does it take you to write a book?
Oh, wow. I wish, this is another one that I wish I had a schedule. I have written a book in as short as 25 days, and that was Dine With Me. Because that's the book of my heart. There's a lot of me in that book. Every meal that's in that book, I ate. At some point, I'm a huge foodie. So that one was quick, right? I knew that one inside and out when I sat down to do it. Probably the longest it's taken me is about 120 days.
Oh.
Average is 60 to 90, right?
Right.
That's usually about how much I allot myself for writing.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of writing books, it brings us to the first segment here at the Brown Book Series called Name Their Book, where we do a synopsis or a character or something from one of your books, and you have to name that book.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let me put my glasses on because I can't see. I can't see it all. Excuse the phone ringing. Everybody know, it gets a little hood around here sometimes. Okay. Name that book. And like, no pressure, okay?
Okay.
Oh, you do have a couple of series. So if we give you the someone's name, we're meaning like the hero for that part, for the book that they're in.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, name that book. Team captain, Olympic medalist, devoted son and brother.
That would be Alex Cantu from Relay.
That is Relay. Yes.
Yeah.
Changing Lanes, book 1. I like the name of your series as well. I was like, these are cute. Okay. All right. Next up.
Yeah.
Character. Christopher.
AKA Dontifer. as we affectionately call him, from the Fog City series, books 1 to 3 in the trilogy. Christopher Perry, I would say, is Kingslayer, book 2.
Kingslayer, a Fog City novel. Now, before we, go on with the name of that book, girl, this Fog City novel, this whole series, which is my favorite? Is it Prince Slayer?
Prince of Killers is the
Prince
first book.
Killers.
Yeah.
Girl. Oh my God. I don't know what the hell Layla is doing over there in California, honey, but this is good. So tell us a little bit, because since this is one of my favorite books too,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Kingslayer and this whole novel, the whole Fox City novel. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So Fox City was the first fully indie series that I did. It is set in San Francisco, hence the Fog City. And I really wanted to play with the kind of the noir concept and all the fog. Like, it sets its own awesome kind
Like
of
Batman.
mood,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so the Madigans is the family that's at the heart of this series, and they are assassins. So murder for hire is the business. And the 3 siblings that I've, quote, inherited at this point, Hawes, Helena, and Holt, they're third generation. Their parents died in the line of business, and the grandparents are, at the, quote, should be handing over stage. And the grandfather has Alzheimer's, and the grandmother is kind of the matriarch, Rose, of the family. And the Hawes and his siblings really want to kind of change the direction of the murder for hire business, so to speak, so that it's, no, Hawes's saying is, no unvetted targets, no collateral damage, no indiscriminate killing, because of an incident that happened several years in the past that kind of haunts him. And then in walks Dante / Christopher, and the ghost materialize, so to speak, in the fog, and they have totally combustible chemistry, and it's a kind of starts off as like a bodyguard thing, and then kind of goes to an enemies to lovers thing, and kind of goes into more.
It was a lot of tropes in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I was like, yo, this, you didn't know where it was going to end up. Like, like, what type of book is this going to be?
And those are my favorite books to read. They're my favorite TV shows to watch. I mean, I mentioned The X-Files. I came from TV land before I ever got into romance books, right? And so my style, my bent in writing is typically toward that romantic suspense, toward I'm going to throw plot at you, I'm going to throw twist at you, the characters may not be who you think they are. I love unreliable narrator. It's one of my favorite narrative devices ever. As a reader, I love it. I still need to learn, I still need to play with it in a book more. But yeah, I mean, I want to keep the reader on their toes and engaged, and I don't want you to put the book down.
Girl, you kept me engaged. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, literally, I was like, I want to be a assassin. What true story though? When I was coming up, people be like, what you want to do when you grow up? I wanted to be a hired assassin.
That's awesome.
I did. I was like, just the whole, like, this is hot, like, just the secrecy of it all. You just be in a party, and all of a sudden, person end up dead, and I just switch wigs and leave. Like, I'm like, this is so hot.
It was an interesting writing experience too, in that it was kind of liberating, in that my first 2 series, Irish and Whiskey and Trouble Brewing, they were FBI agents and a federal prosecutor. And so, I had all my FBI charts and law enforcement charts, and this is how the DOJ works, and there are these rules, and all went out the window. I mean, it was like, eventually I had to pull some of that back in because of Dante, but it was liberating to an extent to be able to just kind of write that. Now I'm back in the FBI world with what would be a dead draw, but it's fun to have the Madigans to play with. whenever they want to walk onto the scene.
I know, and I absolutely love it, honey.
Yeah.
All right, next up, name that
Okay.
book. You ready?
Yeah,
3 restaurants, 3 flops.
that is the last drop.
Girl, where did you find that man on that cover?
Right? Right? I mean, this was another one of those where it was like, I had to find the photo. Like, it was originally an anthology, but then I was like, no. Greg's going to be on the cover because, like, he's popped up, you know, in Dine With Me. I knew who he was in my head. And I looked a lot for that. And then found it, and I'm like, yeah, that's him. That's him.
Girl,
That's him,
listen,
100%.
I was saying that too. Yeah, that's him right here.
Yeah.
That's him. I love it. The last drop. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Name that book. No comment, he said, reciting the face he hated, yet used more than any other.
That would be What We May Be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
No, hold on.
Think about it. No comment.
Is that Dine With Me?
It is not, but Down With Me.
No.
Nope. It's a passage. He hated saying this, but he always used it.
Silent Night? No.
Want me to give you a hint?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't, because then if I give you the name of the character or the other person, you're going to know who it is.
Medley?
No, girl.
No, I didn't think
Single
so.
Malt.
Oh, it's Single Malt. I should have said Cast Drink because it sounds like a Jamie comment.
I was about to say Jamie. I'm like, I can't say Jamie because
Yeah.
Single Malt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aged Irish and Whiskey. That's book 1.
That's book 1.
Now, is this
That's probably why I couldn't remember it because it's 5+ years ago.
5+ years ago. This is your very first book, correct?
Yeah.
I like it. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So Agents Irish and Whiskey follows Aidan Talley, who is 42, 43.
Yeah.
Recently widowed FBI agent, and part of a big Irish family that had immigrated to the States when he was young, and hence the nickname Irish. And then Whiskey is Jameson Whiskey Walker, who is a former basketball star who got injured, but he was also always a cyber geek. Like, he's a really smart guy. And so he is a cyber agent that ends up getting pulled onto a case with Aidan. And so they end up working really well together. Sparks fly. And so there's the first book, Single Malt, has to do with a bioterror kind of threat. The second one is an undercover gig at a fictional college that kind of let me play with all of my fun basketball stuff because I'm from Carolina and a Tar Heel. And then Barrel Proof is kind of the overall mystery kind of coming in. A lot of my series, there's a big bad, so to speak. So there'll be kind of one plot per book, but then an overarching plot. And so Barrel Proof was them really kind of taking down the big bad. And then Tequila Sunrise is the 4th book that follows Aidan's brother and Melissa Cruz, who is like the queen of all of my books, all of my universe, because she's such a badass. And she and they have it's a bit of a Die Hard riff because Die Hard's a Christmas movie. And you know, they're just great because Melissa's very much hard as nails, and then here comes Danny, who is Mr. Charm the Pants Off anyone. And they were great together too.
I absolutely love it. It's so funny when you say like the Tar Heels because my brother is a Coach K, Carolina Blue. You could be like, yo, what's your favorite color? Carolina Blue. I'm like, Carolina Blue is not. But that's his thing. Give me that Carolina Blue. I'm like, that's not a color. So,
yeah, it is.
But we all know what he meant by that. It's crazy. I love no.
Yeah.
All right. Last up, name that book. When a marriage of convenience is the only play left.
And that is Dead Draw. That's the new one.
Yes, that's the new one, Dead Draw. Now, girl, I think we got a picture of this old boy on this old cover.
Yeah.
Girl. Who and what?
Yeah.
How you get? He's so fine, it don't make no sense.
Yeah, no, that's Rodney Santiago. He and that's the model, and the photographer was Wander Aguirre, and then Kate Ashwood did the cover. So
No, okay, so
but let me tell you the story on the photo.
Okay.
So I've worked with Wander a lot, and I was writing Silent Night, which is book 5 of Fog City, which is the first place that this is Marsh is the character.
Right.
It's the first time he appears, and I'd write it. I'd written it, and I read dialogue layer first, and then I go back and fill in description and all that kind of stuff. And this picture dropped right around then, and I was like, "That's Marsh. We're done." Right? And then go back and edit and make the changes that I needed to dial in completely. But I fairly knew who the character was, and then that dropped. I was like, that's him. And then Kate, this is just like Justified vibes. Like, we didn't have to do anything. It was so hot, and the white hat was perfect because he's a hacker.
Yes.
With a white hat. So it worked.
I absolutely love it. Now, tell us about Dead Draw. And wait, the name. What's up with the name, girl?
So it is a chess term, right? Marsh is a chess player. You kind of see that a little bit in Silent Night. Him and Brax are always playing chess.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah. So all the titles in this series are chess references. A perfect play is, quote, a perfect game, which debate whether or not it exists. And so Dead Draw refers to basically when you're in a losing, where it's a no-win situation, right? You're stuck on the board, so to speak. And so that's where Marsh feels like he is. The incident kind of we're alluded to in What We May Be about the kind of when him and Sean worked together at the FBI, their boss got killed, who was a friend in a terrorist attack. And he has spent the last 3 years trying to get to the bottom of what went into that. And his paths happen to cross with Levi Bishop. Yeah. And the last name is on intentional with the chess moves as well.
Yeah.
And Levi is a domestic. So Marsh is a legal attaché. Works for the FBI overseas. FBI, we all heard they don't have, quote, jurisdiction overseas, right. But they do have these legal attachés, which they work with local governments for information sharing, for training. It's really become their offices, and the position after 9/11 got way more important and bulked up. Right?
Okay. Right.
Because that, we are in an age where crime is international.
Right.
And particularly in this book that deals with human trafficking and transnational organized crime. The Bratva is not just Russia anymore, right?
Right.
It's everywhere.
Right.
That's not who we're necessarily dealing with here, but just as a frame of reference.
Exactly.
And so and Levi's a domestic agent here in San Diego and working a human trafficking case. And Marsh is following the money from who was responsible for his friend and his mentor's death, and their paths cross. And Levi's in his own sort of dead draw situation in that his wife passed away a couple years ago from cancer. Right. She was awesome, right? He loved her. He is pan. That's how he identifies as pansexual. And he's got hospital bills, the living in a house that he can't afford. I mean, unfortunately, what too many people in this country are having to deal with.
Exactly.
A teenager, they can't leave that house because the market is so expensive where they live now, and he needs to keep his kid in good schools, right?
Right.
And so he's at a bit of his own impasse, and Marsh at an impasse with their case. So Marsh, being the cowboy he is, proposes a marriage of convenience between these two FBI agents to, one, help Levi with his problems because Marsh just came into inheritance.
Oh.
And then and Levi keeps him close to the case that he's supposed to not be working. So that's the setup.
That is the setup. So for the ones who are new to MMF and FF writing, what does pansexual means?
Pansexual means that gender doesn't factor in to the where you're attracted to, who you're attracted to. So that's the pansexual, and then so that's how Levi identifies.
Girl, back in the old days, honey, that was just bisexual. I was like, isn't it the same thing though?
There's distinctions, but also the definition of bisexual has I would say evolved, and also, that there's folks who think it is binary, that it's male female, but a lot of people have in recent years like to define bisexual as your own gender and others, right? And so that does kind of wrap into pan, but it still does have the gender connotation, whereas pansexual does not.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So yeah,
I'm with it. Now, a majority of your writing, look, all of it is either MM or MMF or FF. Why did you choose to write in this genre? And how hard was it for you to, not over what is it? How sometimes when you're writing about a certain situation or a certain lifestyle or whatnot, you tend to kind of put it in your face, pushing on it.
Yeah.
So what made you write about it, and how were you able to kind of just keep the romance there and the storyline and didn't focus so much on the sexuality? Because you didn't reading your books. I mean, I know because I know in reading it, but it wasn't like that was all, you know what I'm saying? How people can make it like, this is what it is, this is what you need to know about. It wasn't like that. It was like a really sweet love story.
Yeah.
And the mysteries was, girl, killing me. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So why you pick this genre, and how did you keep from falling into that rut of,
Yeah. I mean, representation matters, right? And so that's why I write in this genre. I think it's very important. I think it's important representation across the entire LGBTQ spectrum. And so I have recently started to write more and more in other, not just MM, right? So, and being very cognizant of the MM characters can also be bi, pan, right? It's not just gay characters. That's fine. I have books that's the case too, but trying to represent all of the LGBT spectrum, so to speak. And so that's what drew me to it. Also, when I sat down to write Single Malt, I can't consciously say that I wanted that, that's just who the characters were. Right. That it was two guys in that situation. As far as, I do have one, a Relay, I would say, is a coming out story. So that's one we're focused on it. But I really like showing stories where LGBTQ people are living their, unfortunately, there's some suffer sauce, as my friends L.A. Witt and Anna Zabo say. But they like to, there's a mystery going on. There's, their lives are in jeopardy, so to speak, but they are living, quote, their best lives, their true selves, right? And it's just LGBTQ people in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And then again, my bent just typically is plot heavy. Gotcha. So those are the things I enjoy writing, and so that tends to be the way they go.
So basically, you just wanted to just write something acknowledging all spectrums in the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah. The representation's there. for all kinds of characters. I think particularly, like, that's one of the things I loved about Fog City was that you had Hawes and Dante. Hawes
Mhm.
is gay. Dante was bi, who was previously married, right? And then you have Helena, who is bi and who ends up in an FF relationship with Celia, who was also previously married to a guy. So, and that was a later bi awakening, had kind of always had some attraction to women, but then really, like, Helena was her first experience, so to speak. And then with Silent Night, Kane is gay, and then Holt is demisexual.
Yeah.
Meaning that the trust comes first, right? Like, I would say he's pan, like the gender doesn't matter,
Right.
but the trust is what matters. And so this was a best friends to lovers relationship that was 14 years kind of in the making of solidifying that trust, and then it builds
into it. I love that. Now, how is your research? What did you do for research?
So, I mean, it depends on the book, right? With what we're looking into. Like, I would say, when I started and doing single malt, I lived in Silicon Valley, and a lot of those words were flying around my head. As far as cyber and tech and all of that stuff. And so I thankfully had people on speed dial that can answer my questions for me. I'm not a hacker, but I know hackers. So it was like,
I need to get
I could ask them things that I needed to. And then just FBI. I mean, like, you read stuff and do research and how this, like, I did a lot of research on, I'd already done research back long ago on human trafficking in connection with my law degree and stuff. And so I had some background in that already, read a bunch of updated reports because a lot more has been published and a lot more research has been into the nexus between human trafficking and terrorism and how it all kind of feeds together as transnational organized crime has become more of again, we've learned a whole lot more about it over the years. And so I did a lot of research actually for Dead Draw in that. And then the Bitcoin thing, I knew people who had some background in that.
Okay.
So,
now, when it came to the LGBTQ plus portions of it,
yeah,
to know the pansexuals and
yeah,
whatever, like, how was that? Did you just kind of look it up? Did you have friends in the community?
yeah.
Or how was it?
Yeah, I mean, being in the community, friends in the community, whatnot, then yeah, I mean, and always have a sensitivity reader when it's not your own identity,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
To make sure that you are portraying things sensitively, correctly, and whatnot.
That's crazy though. So, like, I have I host a lot of prides. So, did you ever find it difficult to ask someone's their sexuality? Were you ever like, yo, what do you identify as?
I mean, I think it depends on the person. Like, you have to know them. Like, I'm not going to ask a stranger that.
Gotcha.
Right. And there needs to be that level of trust because it's not safe for everyone to identify. Everyone's situation is different.
Oh, that's true.
Like, I'm from the South. Good luck. Like, everyone's situation is different. And it's treated all sensitively.
It's different, and it's not nobody's business if they don't want to tell it.
No, it's not. Like,
yeah, I've always said that. When people are like, "Why don't you just come out and be honest or whatever?" And I'm like, if this person is not ready to be judged by the world, whatever it may be, that's their business. I've always
everybody should have. I mean, in a perfect world, everybody comes out when it's right for them. Unfortunately, it's not a perfect world. That's not what happens a lot.
And
but it's hopefully you're trying to make that act in that way for other people too. So.
Got you. So you said it before that when you first was submitting your novels and whatnot, it wasn't a lot of agents that represented LGBTQ plus authors. Did you ever get frowned upon because this is the genre that you wrote in? Then anyone ever was like, why don't you just write something else sometime?
No. And I wouldn't say there weren't a lot of agents. I would say there were only a handful of publishers who were actively publishing in the genre. That's much larger now, right? It was still kind of early days, so to speak. And so no, actually, like, I mean, and folks have been real supportive even when I started writing FF and the MMF. Like, I've been, it's been very supportive for me, which I'm happy about, right? Like, I've also very clearly telegraphed that those books were coming, right? Like, here's Helena. But I think it's part of the world that you create and the characters you create. Women are in particular very strong. They tend to be the alphas in a lot of what I write. Mel, Charlie, and Helena are kind of the top of the food chain, so to speak, in each of their worlds. And in Dead Draw, we've got a reappearance from a friend that you'll see, who she's an ASAC as well in the FBI. And so I don't think anyone was surprised when I ended up writing female characters too, right? Oh. And then we have the non-binary character Jax that shows up in Fog City, and they'll get their story too eventually. So I'm just figuring out where that slots in. I think I know. So, but I want it to slot in correctly. And I mean, that's one of the cases where I will get a sensitivity reader, make sure everything is that everything's in line there, because that's not an identity that I identify with. So
got you. Yeah. What's up? I love it. All right. Yeah. Layla.
Yeah.
Author's moments.
Okay.
What's the most urgent priority for the rest of the year, both in the literary world? I can't get my words together today. Literary world and in your personal life.
So literary world, I mean, I get this one and at least the next one in the series out, right? Mm-hmm. And enjoy them. Like, I'm fortunate to be in a position where my day job allows me to write what I want when I want, and kind of enjoy the process and not have to be in a grind, so to speak. And I'm really trying to internalize that, because like you get on the hamster wheel.
Yes.
Right. And that was 2019 for me. Totally burned out. COVID hit. And it's like, no, enjoy this now. You can enjoy it. And so trying to be a little bit, trying to be a little bit better about that. Right. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, flows into the personal life of enjoy it. Right. There's, at least we're in a rental now, so there's at least another move coming. So you gotta deal with that. That's the priority with all capital letters.
Yeah.
But also enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So, and I feel like everything we've been through and everything we continue to go through, right? To take the good moments and wallow in them, because there's too much bad to wallow in too.
Too much bad.
Yeah.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
Author's moments. In being a novelist, what did you learn a little too late? Yeah, all that.
What did I learn a little too late? I don't know that it was too late. To some extent, go with your gut. Right, as to what I wanted to write. I don't think it was too late though. I probably, so for me, the struggle generally is to, and I mean, I still struggle with it, to not let the plot overwhelm.
Gotcha.
Right. Because again, that's the direction I tend to go. And sort of learning for me to pull in the tropes more. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think probably Agents, Irish, and Whiskey, I did it really well. And then I kind of fell into being a little more little more plot heavy.
Quite heavy,
From
right?
there, I got to come back in Fog City, and then I think in Dead Draw, I really, particularly what maybe in Dead Draw, I liked that I took the tropes and kind of melded them better. And that's something I am always learning. And by tropes too, I mean the more romantic aspects of it, and letting the characters breathe. Um, there were definitely times where, like in the first cut of Dead Draw, where it was like I finally realized insert a scene there and breathe, right?
Right.
And that's something that's taken me a while, because there is no moment to breathe in Fog City. I am fully aware of that.
Girl,
I am sorry. So in this book, I actually took those moments. Like particularly, I remember the one that I added in was him and Levi and his son, David.
Okay.
Like where he comes home that night, and they're just in the kitchen chatting. Like that was, I mean, it's not even the two main characters, it's the character and his son, but it puts more of that relationship in there. I did not want the son to be an afterthought. He is an important part of the story.
Right.
And so that really kind of those moments. So I guess that's, in a long way of saying that's what I learned a little too late, was to breathe.
Well, hey, at least
that the readers and the writer and the characters all need a moment to breathe.
we all need a moment to breathe. Yes, girl, because in Fog City, it was like, oh, wait a minute.
I know.
I was like, what in the whole hell is going on, honey?
And that whole first half, I think, I started to learn that in the first half of Silent Night, which is Fog City 5.
Yeah.
Where it's the vignette style of their past. And that was me going back to my fanfic roots. That was me in the middle of COVID, and I can't write anything. But I can write 1,500 word snippets of their life.
Right.
The 13 years to where they got to today, or 14. And so that was where I started to learn it a little bit. I felt like I learned it a little bit better, and then brought it through.
I absolutely love it. All right, author's moments. If you could have tea with one fictional character of yours, who would it be?
One coffee or tequila instead of tea, because I don't
Well,
drink
yeah.
And then
I
Mel.
change that to something to drink.
Yeah, Mel, 100% Mel.
Why Mel?
Because she's awesome.
She is awesome.
She keeps them all in line. She's smart. She's just awesome. Like probably her and Helena, right?
Helena. I like Helena.
Yeah, I love Helena.
Yeah,
and so I mean that's probably them. But like, I mean, it's Mel. It's always easily Mel. If you make me choose one, if you make me choose two, then probably Helena is the other one.
The other one is Mel. I love it.
Yeah.
Right, let's see here. Author's moments. If you could sit down with your 15-year-old self, what would you tell her?
What would I tell my 15-year-old self? That I'm thinking, hold on. I would probably tell my 15-year-old self to probably read a little bit more.
Read a little more?
Yeah. I mean, again, I was really heavy into TV more.
Okay.
I think, I could have had some more reading foundation in there. But like it wasn't in my family. So I think my dad's a really heavy reader. But it's nonfiction. Right.
Okay. Right.
Mom wasn't so much. Grandma was kind of like the first. I read a copy of Daddy when I was way too young, by Danielle Still. And I got a hold of Tess of the D'Urbervilles when I was way too young.
Oh, baby.
But I don't think I really, really started reading that heavily until my senior year of high school, and it was Brit Lit, and for some reason I just really loved it. And that's when I got into reading more. And that year, the year project for English Lit was to do a writing journal, and I wrote an epilogue to The Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf.
Okay.
And that was my first piece of quote fan fiction. And so, but if I think I could have started a little bit earlier and reading more, but I'm happy for the TV training too, and the plot beats and things like that I already knew how to do.
I absolutely love it. That's what's
Yeah.
up. All right, author's moments.
Yeah.
Layla, what would your pen name be?
Oh, well, that would be Layla. So you got it.
Right. So I know you said that your real name is hard, so you went with
Yeah.
So how did you come up with Layla Reyne?
Eric Clapton, the song. So that's why we're big music fans. And so one of the first things I got my husband when we started to date, I went away, we started to date, and then I went away the next summer on a study abroad.
Okay.
And it was hell to start. We'd not been dating but like a year, and you're in that definitely in that very much honeymoon phase, and God, the phone bill was terrible.
Oh yeah.
Because collect calls back then, it was expensive. But the one of the things I picked up for him was the record of Layla from Derek and the Dominoes, which was Eric Clapton and his band, and an import version of it, right? And brought that back to him. And so that's kind of always been something that we gravitate toward, both of us. And so, so then I ended up using that name. And then Rain was something that I liked the ring of it. And it looks good all lined up. But I didn't realize it was going to be so hard to spell and pronounce. And then I just ended up, yeah. But it's fine. So
I love it.
But I like it. I like the way it looks on a sign. It all lines up pretty well.
Yeah, I like the way it looks too, girl.
Yeah.
All right. Author's moments. Layla, if you could master any instrument on earth, what would it be?
Does it have to be a musical instrument?
No, it don't.
Knives.
Layla.
But mostly from a cooking point of view. Like I wish so we're big foodies. I really wish my knife skills were better. And I've taken all the courses, right? But it's just, I'm not the best of it. I should have said baking because I'm a horrible baker. Like the KitchenAid mixer is my nemesis, but whatever. Shouldn't be that hard. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, when I think about instruments, instruments in the kitchen a lot. And so I would love to master knives better. And then also just so I could play Helena when I wanted to.
I'm with it. I'm with all that, girl. That is what's I absolutely love it. Okay. Dead or alive? If you were hosting a dinner party and could invite 5 people from any era, who would it be?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah. I love her. Gillian Anderson, because that's one of my huge crushes, and just she's like awesome.
She is.
Probably Eleanor Roosevelt to some extent.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who else. Like, women that I look up to. My great grandma, again, because she was a pistol. God, she was a bee. But I loved her, right? She was so smart and like just, she's great. She also cooked amazing cookies. And then probably my grandma from the other side of the family too. Like, part of, going back to the question of like what my upbringing was I'm from the South, and it was oral tradition. So all the stories got handed down.
Yeah.
In a spoken format, the family, like the very typical thing from the family is that my grandfather's birth certificate, we don't know what year he was born in because the goat got into the house and ate the Bible where the birth certificates were.
Love
right?
Yes.
So like This is what Southern farming families. This is our stories. So I mean, like, I just want to sit in a room and hear some great stories with people, and particularly from amazing women. And so, I think that would be a fun group.
I think they'll be great. I'm from Georgia, right? And so
Okay.
you're right about it. We were celebrating one grandmother's birthday on one date. Then I think she got sick or something, so we had to find the birth certificates, find all the stuff. And I'm like, yo, this is the wrong date. This ain't even.
I mean, I don't think to this day we actually know what year he was born in, because we don't have the birth certificates, right? And this was early 1900s. Good luck finding those records.
Exactly,
So,
girl.
yeah.
A whole mess. I absolutely love it. Layla, this has brought us to the end of our interview. We have one question left. But before we ask our last question, please let everybody, first I want to say thank you for coming on. This has been awesome.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me.
And let everyone know where they can, all things Layla, where they can go get your books, your social medias, your website, all the information.
So all of my books are now available wide. So you can get them on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Google Play, and other places too. Most of them are also available in audio. So for those that like to listen, and the Dead Draw audio should drop right about the same time, if not a little bit earlier, actually. So that should be out now as well with the book. And you can find me on social media at Layla Reyne, and that's Twitter, Facebook, IG. I have a TikTok. I'm not on there a lot yet. And then on Facebook, I have a reader group, Layla's Lushes, and that's probably where I'm the most active. That and IG tends to be where I am most of the time.
I absolutely love it.
And website, www.laylareyne.com.
Layla Reyne. I like that name, though. Layla Reyne. Yeah.
Thank you.
Layla.
Yeah.
If you were writing a book about your life, what would the title be?
Irish coffee.
You know what, though? Bailey's and all that stuff in coffee is beautiful. It's a beautiful
thing. It's a fantastic drink.
It is a beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Amazon's bestseller author. Well, please give us that innovation. Amazon's bestseller author, Miss Layla Reyne. Layla, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome.
This was great. Thanks so much for having me, and happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride, everyone. Hey, y'all know how we do. If you like the interview, and I know you did, because Layla's just wonderful. Layla, show that book again, girl. Yes. Call your friends. Let them know that the Brown Book Series just had a wonderful interview with Miss Layla Reyne, honey. And you guys need to go get that book. And we'll see you guys back again next week. Have a great time. Have a great day. Have a great Pride. Stay safe. And most of all, stay positive.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye.
Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you. It's for us. The fantasies. No one can judge us. No one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book, baby.